into the first order of business this evening. We're going to talk a little Bryan Kohberger here to kick it off. And it says, let me just set up my screen. Oh, good. I'm on the side panel. I didn't even have to do it. How cool is that? Anyway, defense lawyers in the Idaho killings case want gag order kept. It says defense attorneys for Bryan Kohberger asked the Ohio Supreme Court, so the top Supreme Court in Idaho. I keep saying Ohio because of the goddamn mess that's going on over there, and it's really bothering me. But Idaho Supreme Court Friday to keep the gag order in place after a challenge order filed by news organizations. And you can only imagine how many news organizations have filed to remove the gag order. They want to talk. They want to talk about this. But the judge really wants to keep this obviously close to home. What I do, screwed up the screen here. All right, let's go down here. Boise, Idaho. Defense attorney for a man accused of stabbing 4 University of Idaho students to death asked the Idaho Supreme Court on Friday to keep a gag order in place, saying a challenge to the order filed by 30 news organizations is premature and that media coverage of the case has been twisted. Goes on to say the defense team for Bryan Kohberger argued in the court filing that the news organizations should have first asked to the magistrate judge who issued the gag order to reverse it, though they acknowledged that the state has no rules specifically allowing outside parties to intervene in criminal cases. What the media really seeks here is a predictorial victory, knowing full well it cannot win on the merits of any test given to persevere and grotesquely twist nature of media coverage that was occurred thus far. Jay Weston, I think that's Logsdon, with the Kutental, I think that might be it, County Public Defender's Office wrote in a court document. Logsdown did not cite any examples of what he believed to be twisted media coverage. It's going to go on here to describe, obviously, what we know what happened in this case. I'm going to skip down a couple of paragraphs here. It says the case garnered widespread publicity, and in January, Latah County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall issued a sweeping gag order barring attorneys, law enforcement agencies, and other associates with the case from talking or writing about it. I mean, we obviously know that people have been talking about this. It happens a lot in these big trials when gag orders are put in place. A defense attorney or a prosecutor may be slipping some information to try to get a leg up in the media and to try to get a leg up on the case to maybe throw off the other side, either the prosecution or the defense. I think that there is some sources that obviously are getting out. I think people are talking. I mean, that area is very small, college town. Consider the size of the university and how well that university is. I still think people in that area are talking. Information's clearly getting out because we get new reports. And I think a lot of it too is that a lot of these unsealed search warrants and documents now are able to get, unsealed through the courts. It becomes public knowledge. And I think, at this point right now, the defense is a little scared, in my opinion, because this information's getting out. We're obviously knowing what is being seized at what was seized at Kohberger's apartment in Washington, what was seized now at his parents' house. And I think that it's starting to shake things up a little bit for the defense and probably, places some real stress on them to, put together a good case of defense of why he didn't do this. It's obviously, I still think that there is a lot of, people talking in this case. I think there is information getting out there, but I'm going to go on to read here a little bit more of the article. It says the coalition of news organizations, which include the Associated Press, contends the gag orders violates the right of to free speech and prohibiting it from happening in the first place. An attorney representing the family of one of the victims has also filed an opposition to the gag order in state court. Shannon Gray, who represents the Goncalves family, said that the challenge that the gag order is unduly broad and places an undue burden on families. Marshall said hearings on the matter would be held after the Idaho Supreme Court issued a ruling in the news organization's challenge. So very, even though there's no case going on right now, I mean, there's battles in the courts to try to keep this gag order in place, to not have media access, to keep things quiet. My thing, I think, I don't mind the gag order. I think it's going to help and protect the case for the prosecution. But again, there's definitely some information getting out there. Again, Kohberger's attorney contended the gag order essentially requires an attorney involved in the case to act ethically and ensure Kohberger gets a fair trial. This is not a case where the attorneys seek to use rules as a weapon against one of other. It is a case where a young man is on trial for his life. Longsdown wrote, excuse me. There was also nothing inappropriate about the magistrate courts reminding the attorneys involved of their ethical obligations. High publicity cases often present a conundrum for judges who work to protect the defendant's right to a fair trial. And I've said that all along. Kohberger's, he's accused of this crime. We know that. He is suspect number one in this crime. I've always said this on this channel, that everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. He has the right to go through the judicial system and go through the court system. And, I get it. You want to protect the ethical natures of this case. And I don't actually mind the gag order in this. I think, again, it's just going to help the prosecution in this sense. High publicity, we already read that. But the gag orders can infringe on the First Amendment right of the public and of people involved in the case. News organizations that cover the court served a watchdog role in keeping the public informed about how the judicial branch operates. So it's kind of that battle of First Amendment. I'm all about First Amendment is right. But, on a personal thing, a personal level here, I don't want any talking. I don't want anything to screw this case up. I've said this all along. I feel like the evidence is very strong against Bryan Kohberger. I just don't want anything to get fouled up before this goes to trial and, ends up ruling out something, or, it becomes a mistrial or something in that sense. It gets thrown out of court. During the investigation into the University of Idaho, student slayings and news organizations interviewed with investigators and law enforcement officials often work to quash information spread online by people who style themselves as sleuth or on social media sites. So they hate us. They don't like us talking about it, because sometimes people like us can get further reach or have the freedom more to talk about what is out there, what we think, what our theories are. So they always call us sleuths in media, social media sites. So I wanted to raise some awareness to that. Just a little, like I said, some conundrum going on inside the Kohberger case. I have a small little video here that we can play and get caught up over here for a couple of minutes.
Turning now to the Moscow murder case, newly unsealed court documents are revealing even more disagreement among the attorneys involved, and that includes allegations of leaked information.
Graham 2 Shannon Mowdy combed through that document today and breaks down what we have learned. Shannon?
Yeah, this memo summarizes a January 13th meeting held in chambers where the judge gave a stern reminder of her gag order. The judge was concerned after seeing media reports about the Moscow murder case, including details that shouldn't be public under that order. In the memo, we've learned about accusations of an information leak against one of the top attorneys in the case. This 3-page memo was unsealed with the names of some witnesses and their attorneys redacted early this week. The closed-door meeting January 13th included those attorneys, the prosecutors, public defender, and Goncalves family attorney Shannon Gray.
It is an ordinary meeting to deal with an extraordinary search.
This is such a complicated case because there's so many people involved and there's so many families involved, that are affected by this. And it's just, all these families have their own attorneys. it's just such a crazy case.
Seattle trial lawyer Mo Hammoudi provided some context about why this meeting was held and why we're now seeing the summary unsealed.
You want this case either tried to a jury or resolved by way of a plea agreement once. Cases like this are not only expensive, but the victims' families will be damaged the longer it takes to get through this process.
Judge Megan Marshall called the meeting in response to what she was hearing and seeing in media reports of the case. Hammoudi says this was a stern reminder of the existing non-dissemination order and a warning for anyone who violated it.
There's real concern in this case about information being publicized before it is even introduced in a court of law.
The judge warned violators could be held in contempt and or reported to the Idaho State Bar. Hammoudi says punishments could range from attorneys being fined to having licenses suspended or even being disbarred. In the unsealed memo, Goncalves family attorney
It's a really good shot of Kohberger's face. And I know there was some speculation about him getting beat up in court, and the county sheriff, or where he's being held, they said that it was a mishap with a razor. I mean, I don't know. To me, looks like someone got a hold of him. I mean, he's got, if you look, I don't know if you can see my mouse here. He's got a huge scratch here, a scratch near the chin, and a scratch here where the lip is. And it almost looks like here on his jugular or near his throat area, down in this area here, there's a bruise. So I don't know how someone gets shaving bruises. And I mean, for crow's sake, I've been shaving for quite a long time. Obviously not right now because I'm growing my beard out, but I've never had a shaving accident like that. To me, that looks like someone got a hold of him and popped him while I was in there. And that's actually probably one of the best the stills that I've seen to be able to really to get this. So Annie says law enforcement roughed him up. This was over a month after the homicides. Yeah, quite possibly. But this was fresh when he showed up for his first the first hearing. So and we didn't really see when he was arrested. So, but to me, it looks like he got popped in jail,
suspended, or even being disbarred. In the unsealed memo, Goncalves family attorney Shannon Gray claimed information is getting leaked from the prosecutor's office. Prosecutor Bill Thompson denied the allegations. Hammoudi says possible leaks could damage the ability to find a jury or try the case fairly.
Because for it to come into court, it has to be reliable, it has to be relevant, it has to be admissible, it has to meet criteria under the rules. So now you have a piece of information out there that may or may not come into
so shaky.
So what can we gather from the release of this document? Hammoudi says it shows the judge and attorneys are committed to protecting this highly publicized case, pointing out Thompson and Bryan Kohberger's public defender, Ann Taylor, signed off on unsealing it.
Speaks volumes because they're interested in making sure that the integrity of these proceedings are protected. It's clear.
And that's it on that one there. So I just want to get you guys caught up a little bit on what's going on with Kohberger. This challenging of keeping the gag order in place. As we just found out, this 30 media outlets trying to remove that gag order. And of course, everybody's just basically it comes down to this. And I think it's kind of snaky and sharky. And I get it. When you're the first media outlet that can break some type of news, and listen, I do it myself too. If I can jump on and try to get something out quick onto YouTube right away, get it out to you guys, you want to be the first one that reports it because you want to be the one that goes viral. I mean, essentially that's what these media outlets are doing. If they have access to this case, have information, can get it out there first, all the attention is going to be on their media, outlets. So Annie says that the prosecutor has a glorious beard. Yes, he's very Santa Claus, very whimsical. Looks like Kris Kringle. So So anyway, I wanted you guys to get you guys caught up a little bit with Kohberger. So